And when you ask yourself these questions, how do you know that it's really connected to your purpose, that it's not someone else's voice? Like if we are talking about the spiritual world, we know that we have God, universe, all kind of voices. How do we know that the voice or the answer that we get is the right answer that's related to our purpose?
Yep, that's a great question. So it's crowded in our minds.
Very crowded.
A lot of noise in there, a lot of voices in our heads. So anytime you're making a decision, you can hear them. Yes, do it. No, don't do it. Yes, do it. No, don't do it. You can hear the argument going on between the different voices in your mind. So the voices of purpose are quieter than the other voices, which makes them harder to hear. So one of the things that I teach people is how to quiet the voices so that they can hear the voice of purpose. And that usually looks like helping them to resolve their fears of living purposefully. Because that's the number one thing that keeps people from finding their purpose and living their purpose is, if I do that, then the following terrible thing will happen. There's a fear people have, right? Now, it might never happen, but the fear stops them from doing it at all, stops them from even taking the first step. So that's one key, is to be able to reduce the fear so that your mind gets quiet so you can hear the voice of your purpose. That's one key.
Okay.
The other thing is that, I'm a computer guy, like I told you. I'm a very systematic thinker. When I was hearing this voice of my purpose, this question came to me. It's like, well, how do I know that this is real? How do I know that this is my purpose? What do I, it could be anything. It could be something else pretending to be the voice of my purpose. So I developed a methodology. This is I and the people I've trained. I'm working with thousands and thousands of people to be able to distinguish when it really is the right voice and when it's not, when it's something else pretending to be the right voice. And we have something like 27 different criteria that we use. So it's kind of a test you go through. Excuse me. You go through this test of looking at all of these criteria and say, okay, I had this conversation with the voice of my purpose. Does it meet this criteria? Does it meet this? Excuse me. Does it meet this test, this test, this test? And you can go through and systematically tell, yes, it was the voice of my purpose, or no, it wasn't, and I need to go call again.
Can you give me one example for one of the criteria that you...
Sure. So that's right. So one of the tests is, I'll give you two of them. So one is that when the voice of your purpose tells you what your purpose is, 100% of the time, if it's really the right voice and it's really the right purpose, 100% of the time, you will have strong emotional or physical reaction to it. Guaranteed. If you didn't have a strong emotional and physical reaction to it, it wasn't your purpose and it wasn't the voice of your purpose.
Like when you feel your stomach, something really bothering you. Something like this?
It could be a happy feeling or it could be an upset feeling. Some people are like, oh my God, that's so great, I found my purpose. Other people are like, oh no, not that.
Okay.
But either way, it's a strong reaction, right? Another one that's interesting that most people don't think of is the voice of purpose is funny.
Okay.
It's humorous. It's like a comedian. So if people have learned to talk to it after a while, they start to notice this thing's constantly cracking jokes. Right? It happens all the time. So those are two of the 37 different tests we use.
I also wanted to ask you, you said that you came from the logical world, the more realistic world, and now the spiritual world is have a very big part in your life. How they are connected? How does it work together?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I find Israelis have a lot of trouble with this, that they see it as, well, here's the practical, real stuff, and here's the fluffy, spiritual stuff.
Right.
And they keep it very, very separate. And you can do that, right? So you do the spiritual stuff in workshops or in synagogue or whatever, and then you do the practical stuff at work. If you do that, the practical stuff is going to be really dull, really boring. The trick is to mix them, right? So you want the work that you do every day to be meaningful and ideally in some kind of psychological or spiritually fulfilling way. And so the idea is to buy and sell houses or write computer software or be a nurse or a bus driver or whatever it is, and to make the act of doing that a fulfilling spiritual act.
Okay.
So the people who are successful at mixing them are much happier. Because think about the percentage of time that most people spend doing some form of work, right?
Yes.
It's pretty high, right? Of the amount of hours that you're awake most days, the percentage of it spent doing work is usually fairly high. So if none of that has any spiritual meaning whatsoever, now we're taking, a good third of your life or more off the table to start with, and you got another third that you're, sleeping, and now what's left? You have to fit in all the meaningful stuff and eat and shower and walk the dog and help your kids fix their lunch for school, right? So you're cramming the meaningful parts of your life into a very, very small portion. If you make the work spiritually meaningful, then suddenly you've got a huge chunk of your life, a very important chunk of your life, providing you with meaning. Now, what does spiritually meaningful mean? It means that you see that doing the work that you do is making you a better person, helping other people,
Amazing.
and or making the world a better place. One of those three things.
I
Right?
really like
If it's not doing any of those three things, then it's dull.
Exactly. Great answer. Thank you.